The elders came out here when they come out here in August, end of August, and leave end of October after Halloween, roughly. Not all of them stayed at the same time. They lived in small little smokehouses, and their only job was to smoke lean chum salmon. So this is the beach stonefish trap. Back in the day when the elders were young kids, this was in the 30s, 40s, the fish were so plentiful back then, the populations were so high that this whole bay across to the river was loaded with fish that you could run across the backs of the fish without getting your feet wet. So the tide would do all the action. These stone walls were built 3-4 feet high. The fish would mill about in brackish water before they enter the freshwater. And that's when they change their morphology. They start to lose fat, they get thinner, and their colors change, and their jaws change as they enter freshwater. It doesn't happen instantly where they just zoom up the river. They take their time. And as they take their time milling about, and there's so much fish in here, when the tide goes up and it drops, goes up every day, the fish would relatively stay in one spot because there's so many, and they just get caught inside these trap walls. And because they didn't dry up, this whole part of this trap here would be like a live holding pen of all salmon of different stages of maturation. What's that? Port John. How are you guys doing? Oh yeah. So the elders, when they were describing the use of the stone fish trap at Heiltsuk, is that they would wade in just as we were doing, and they would go up to their knees, so maybe a foot and a half, and it would catch hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fish. And they were just asked to get certain type of salmon, so they're lean. The important thing is that they only took what they needed, and they selected what they needed, and then when they were done, they had to make sure that these traps still weren't catching salmon while they were away, because the salmon still had to make their trip up the river. They created holes or openings so that the salmon could drain out with the tide. The elders were saying that they were the first conservationists. I mean, it was passed on orally, that technique. Sustainable selective fishery.